Test, test, test. Okay. Diamonds have been marketed for decades as rare, eternal, and essential, especially when it comes to love, commitment, and marriage. But the conversations around diamonds are changing. Today, we're going to talk about diamond ethics, lab grown diamond, and their rising popularity, the surge in Moissanite's popularity and what that is, and what's really behind those viral TikTok Moissanite rings. If you're new here, I'm Bella from Bella Luna Crystals, and this is That Crystal Show. I like talking about rocks. I've owned my crystal business for over 12 years, been working with crystals for over 20 years. Gosh, every time I say that, I feel old. By popular request from my community, I'm sharing all of my knowledge for free here on YouTube. So if you like learning about the woo, a little bit of science, or even how to spot fake crystals, or just like having crystally conversations like this, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Now, I don't sell fine gemstones. I sell more crystals for energetic work, but I am a super rock nerd. So we're going to talk about this because it is kind of dancing in between the two communities. And I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. So, natural diamonds, they are formed in the earth over billions of years, but extracting them historically has come with some really serious ethical concerns in the 90s. I believe there was a movie called Blood Diamonds. It was early 2000s or late 90s that came out, which is a really good one to watch if you're curious about the initial practice of extracting diamonds, which, and that happened for decades, just so you all know. It wasn't like a couple of years, it was decades that there was, I'll call unpaid labor. I don't want to get flagged here for using some words, forced labor, child labor, not to mention environmental damages and financing actually like conflicts within the countries associated with diamonds. So while regulations do exist, like the Kimberley process, they don't guarantee that a diamond is free from harm. We cannot make that guarantee. Only if it isn't labeled as a conflict diamond, there are some potentials there. Remember from our crystal ethics video that ethics exists on a spectrum. So it's really hard to say. Ethics are subjective. And again, unless there's that rigorous process in place, it's really hard to guarantee that. But here's the interesting thing. Diamonds are marketed as very rare, one of a kind. They're very hard on the Mohs hardness scale, so they don't scratch easily. So in that sense, they could make a great everyday wear ring. But here's something you may not realize: diamonds are actually not rare. That's completely made up. Higher clarity, higher grade might not be as common, just like we find in all stones, but their perceived rarity has actually been curated through controlled supply. So there's a company called De Beers, and they artificially inflated the value of diamonds through really good strategic marketing. I mean, I have to give props to those marketers. They were just everyday people marketing, insane good marketing. I will mention some of those marketing tactics, cultural conditioning around engagement rings. So this corporation really changed what engagement rings are, how they look through their marketing for decades. Scarcity around diamonds wasn't geological, it was economic. Large corporation, De Beers, hoarded the diamonds and still do to this day to artificially inflate their value. And through their really common marketing campaigns, which I'm sure you've heard, like A Diamond is Forever. It's launched in 1947. And this is the specific campaign that changed how we see diamonds in engagement rings. And what's so interesting about this from like a psychological perspective, the layers within this marketing to convince people that this is the way it is. They linked diamonds to eternity, not fashion, right? It's forever. Okay. It discouraged resale because forever stones aren't meant to be sold. It emotionally fused diamonds with love, marriage, and commitment. He doesn't love you if he doesn't get you a real diamond. And it even came into other factors were how much you should spend on a diamond. But to be honest, the Diamond is Forever campaign is considered the most successful advertising slogan of the entire 20th century. It's crazy. When you think about it, what do you think about when you think of an engagement ring? You think of diamonds. So De Beers didn't just sell diamonds, they sold aspirations. They partnered with a lot of Hollywood studios to place diamonds on their lead actresses, on the red carpets, in romantic storylines. You might remember the movie A Diamond is Forever, or oh my gosh. You might remember the movie from the 1940s. It's very popular, even if you were not born in that time. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Marilyn Monroe and the famous song Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. If that is too old for you, you may remember Moulin Rouge. There is also a song, she does a rendition of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend in the movie version. I've never seen it live, so I don't know if they do it live too, but I imagine so. So there was really clever marketing with Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, and all of the classic glamour films of the time. Diamonds really started to trend because of this insane marketing as symbols of success, um, desirability, proof that love was real and it was eternal with a diamond, and which led to that next marketing invention was spend 2 months' salary on an engagement ring. Are you kidding me? 2 months' salary. Okay. This rule had no cultural or historical bias, period. It was created to anchor spending expectations of diamonds, to normalize debt. You should get a credit card to get your diamond. Normalize diamond pricing strategy. Diamonds are rare, so they should be expensive. Over time, this message shifted from suggestion to expectation to pressure. Okay. So it became that if the diamond wasn't big enough, he didn't love you as much, or your partner didn't love you as much. So but what happened through that is the engagement ring diamond market started to expand because it was getting kind of saturated, and an engagement ring was usually a one time purchase. Well, you'd hope, right? And so what they started doing is marketing diamonds in other ways as anniversary rings. The push present. Where do you think that came from? Didn't come from social media. It came from jewelry company marketing. Right hand rings. Right now, what's trending are pinky rings again. Pinky rings were popular for a while. And the self purchase empowerment, like you don't need to wait, you could buy it yourself. And this message really evolved from he proves his love by buying you a diamond to you prove your worth by owning a diamond. Diamonds felt rare, but that rarity again, you guys, it's been carefully managed for decades. De Beers has controlled mining output, global supply, and pricing structures so they can keep making money. Okay. Diamonds weren't scarce geologically, they were scarce by design. But here's what happened. Okay. Enter in lab grown diamonds. Because the problem with, you could say CZs came out before lab grown diamond technology was really refined. But lab grown diamonds. CZs weren't that great because they just weren't really as good as a diamond in terms of their durability. They might have discoloration. There could be some cloudiness that occurs. But with lab diamonds, now this is where things got interesting. Lab diamonds, synthetic diamonds, are chemically, structurally identical to natural diamonds. They're real diamonds in every sense of the word. They are real diamonds, just created in controlled environments rather than mined. So a lot of people started seeing, putting the two and two together. We're smart folks. Why would I pay all this money for a why would I pay all this money for an unethically mined diamond, or a diamond I can't even not even sure how it was mined, when I can pay a fraction of the cost for a lab diamond? They had fewer labor concerns. Significantly lower costs, and identical appearance and durability. Like, why would you not? And for many buyers, it really felt like a middle ground where I can get this beautiful diamond that I want, but I don't have to pay the price. Get it. I love me a lab diamond. Okay. So GIA, which is the Gemological Institute of America, they are, even though they're of America, they are the world's most respected diamond grading authority, period. Okay. They've been identifying and grading lab grown diamonds for nearly 2 decades. GIA started accepting lab diamond stones for testing around 2007, and since then has now issued laboratory grown diamond reports that clearly state whether a diamond is natural or it is synthetic lab grown. These reports identify lab diamonds and provide really key details, just like they do for mined stones. Now, the cool thing about this, too, when it comes to this distinction between them, is that we actually need these reports. Jewelers need special equipment to determine a synthetic from a natural diamond mined in the earth or a synthetic one. You can't just tell with the naked eye or with general jeweler equipment. You need special equipment to tell the difference. And that is why a lot of them will have identification on them from GIA if they have that certification. So the jeweler can look at the coating on the diamond and know exactly what it is by looking it up with GIA. So lab grown diamonds are chemically and physically diamonds, but determining origin requires, again, special equipment. So it's really a interesting concept that we're getting something that is synthetic, it is affordable, and we can all have access to beautiful diamonds in whatever size we want, or other colors of diamonds. Maybe we can change the color of diamonds to almost any color with these lab grown opportunities. Even GIA is recognizing how the synthetic diamond industry, the lab grown diamond industry is growing. And actually, in late 2025, just last year, instead of applying the traditional 4Cs grading, which is the color, cut, clarity, carat, the 4Cs, that's been used for natural diamonds, GIA actually has a certain designation to synthetic lab diamonds, which will be premium and standard because we can pretty much make them perfect and beautiful, right? So this change really shows that the largest organization for gemstones is putting significant investment in how we identify lab-grown synthetic diamonds. Each of these that are GIA certified are going to have a laser inscription on the girdle, and that's how they know, is it lab grown? Is it natural when they're looking at it? So they don't have to use certain more advanced equipment. They'll be able to look at the number on the actual diamond itself. Now, the thing about lab diamonds, though, and this is what people don't like, they don't really hold their value. So you buy the diamond, and that's the value of the diamond. But on the flip side, if you buy a natural diamond grown in the earth, it will immediately lose its value. So it will have a huge devalue. Now, it might hold more value than a synthetic diamond, but it is going to lose 80% of its value once you take it out of the store. Some jewelers will provide discounts for upgrading that diamond to a larger diamond down the road. Not all do, but if unfortunately you are one of the over 50% of the folks that get married and get divorced, when you resell that ring, you could expect to resell that ring for 70 to 80% less than you paid for it. Whether that is with a natural real diamond, it feels weird to say real, natural mined. We'll say mined diamond versus synthetic. With a synthetic, you are really only going to get the value of the metal that was used to make the ring. The synthetic lab diamond doesn't hold value. So when you do the cost comparison, even if nobody plans to get divorced, okay? Nobody goes to a marriage planning to get divorced. But if you did, you had less of an investment with the lab diamond. There's that. An actual natural diamond will have a higher investment and higher loss. But in addition to lab diamonds, we have the rise of moissanite. Now, I love moissanite. It's very hard on the Mohs hardness scale. A diamond is 10, but moissanite can be about 9.2 to 9.5. All moissanite on the market is synthetic. It is not natural, even though I keep seeing these TikTok ads, and they're just influencers trying to make a buck. You know what? Money is tight. I can respect a guy or gal trying to make a buck on social media. Like, do it. But please stop calling them moissanite rings natural mined moissanite. They are most definitely Not. Moissanite's not a diamond, and it doesn't try to be. It's a completely different stone. And what I really like about moissanite is the fire. It has amazing fire and brilliance that a diamond just doesn't have. So if you like sparkle, sparkle when your ring is in the light, you may want to check out moissanite. It is also lab created, and so you don't have to worry about the concerns that might come up with the ethics of mining. But it's really important that you understand it's not a diamond, and that's okay. So moissanite allows people to opt out of diamond culture. You can avoid inflated prices, and it reduces what an engagement ring should be. Like, why does it have to be a 2 carat diamond means he loves you? Like, I don't get it. Why? Is that the only reason your partner, he or she, loves you because you buy a big old ring? You may want to readjust your relationship ideals if that is the case for you. Now, the diamond industry, though, they're not just going to sit back and be like, okay, we'll let synthetic diamonds and we'll let moissanite run the show about those beautiful colored synthetic diamonds. No, 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 no. For decades, natural diamonds sat at the top of the jewelry hierarchy, not just for engagement rings, for everything. Tennis bracelets, anniversary rings, earrings, the shebang, you name it. Their dominance is now being challenged. Lab grown diamonds and moissanite didn't just enter the market as alternatives, they disrupted the entire story that the diamond industry spent nearly a century building. And industries like that, do you think De Beers wants to be losing that money? They don't. So they rely on two different principles when we talk about natural mined diamonds: rarity and emotional and social signaling. Synthetic lab diamonds are chemically identical and anybody visibly indistinguishable. Okay. Moissanite outperforms diamonds with sparkle and durability per dollar, time and time again. Both are significantly more affordable. Both weaken the idea that love equals sacrifice, which equals a high cost. This isn't just a pricing issue, this is a status issue, okay? Because ultimately humans have a thing with status. Everybody does, okay? Even if you say, no, not me, you do in some way. We all do. But with this, a lab diamond with the lab diamonds and moissanite surging in popularity, especially on TikTok and Instagram, traditional diamond companies had to shift tactics. They're like, people aren't buying our expensive ass diamonds. We have to take a different path. So instead of focusing on geology, craftsmanship, what they did instead is they decided to go into the fact that lab diamonds aren't special. Your husband, your wife, they don't think you're special if you buy them a lab diamond. You're just, anybody can get a lab diamond. It's not special, right? We're creating a social hierarchy there. I have a natural diamond, which I've seen videos on TikTok where there'll be women saying, well, it's only half a carat, but which half a carat's huge, but it's a natural mined diamond, not a lab diamond. You don't get an award for having a natural mined diamond. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So that's one of the tactics. And they've been paying influencers to push this rhetoric to try to influence people that, natural diamonds are better. And that there's some meaning behind it. So there's subtle messaging that natural diamonds are equaling success, wealth, and discernment, and synthetic or lab or moissanite are going to be considered like you can't afford a real diamond, but you should really want a real diamond, and that people that have them are better than you. So the psychological framing of wealth, worth, and identity, huge piece to tap into. Diamonds were never just about beauty. They were about proof of commitment, stability, and financial capability. So when lab diamonds and moissanite remove the financial barrier, that proof disappears. It used to be like in the 80s or 70s, someone had a big fat rock on their hand. You knew that probably their partner had a lot of money. Now, you don't know. It's a mystery, right? And now even if the diamond is big, people are like, oh, it's synthetic. Like, that's a bad thing. So the narrative shifts from diamonds are beautiful to diamonds say something about you and your financial status. And why this is so effective, and it is effective in most psychological capacities, is because it activates a couple fears that we have collectively as humans: judgment, inadequacy, fear of being perceived as less than, and legitimacy and belonging. It's classic luxury brand positioning. It's what all luxury brands do. When their exclusivity is threatened, identity becomes the product. It says something about you if you have that certain purse, if you have that certain shirt, right? So they had to frame the alternatives as less because they cannot compete on transparency or cost. Diamonds cannot compete with moissanite or synthetic diamonds on transparency or cost. So they had to reframe it as less than a mined diamond. Now, what's interesting is that mined diamonds and moissanite don't threaten diamonds because they are geologically inferior. Great. They're going to hold up really well, very high Mohs hardness. They threaten them because they remove an obligation. There's no necessary a diamond is forever. Maybe I'll get a moissanite ring and then in a few years I'll get a different one because they're so affordable. I'll just change it up. I really want to pick one ring to wear forever. Like my style might change in like 5, 6 years. And if I have a more affordable ring, I can change it up. I don't need to keep the exact same one. None of this means diamonds, natural diamonds are bad. It means the marketing is adjusting. So you should be able to see this playing out on social media. I do, and I'm just teach their own. Natural diamonds, synthetic lab diamonds, and moissanite, synthetic moissanite are different products, different stories. None of them need to be elevated by diminishing the others. But when an industry has long relied on controlled supply, emotional conditioning, and social pressure, any alternative that offers freedom of choice will be framed as lesser. So keep that in mind. There is no better stone, only a better fit for someone's values. Maybe they value geological time, maybe environmental impact, affordability, flexibility, tradition, or opting out entirely and you don't need a ring or you do whatever you want. What matters is informed choice, not pressure. You decide what works best for you. It should also be noted that natural diamonds, they don't hold their value. If you buy a diamond at retail pricing and you decide to sell it, you'll get approximately less than half of its initial value that you paid. This is when people argue they don't plan to sell their ring. The truth is, no one plans to sell their engagement ring. I've said this earlier in the video, but over 50% of marriages end in divorce. If you buy a lab or moissanite ring, they will not hold value. The only question is, how much do you want to invest financially? The only thing that will typically increase, although we recently saw it drop, is gold. I recommend yellow gold in your rings if you like it, because that will hold its value. So it's important to understand that natural diamonds don't hold their retail value. If you purchase a diamond at a retail price, you decide to sell it later for whatever reason, you will typically receive around 60% less, sometimes 75% less than what you paid. This is something the jewelry industry rarely talks about. They don't want you to know how the markup. They don't want you to know, they just want your money. People often assume by saying they never plan to sell their engagement ring, and that's true. No one plans that. No one buys an engagement ring expecting to part with it. Okay, remember this. It's also worth noting that lab diamonds and moissanite are not financial investments. It's not, but this is not really where you should be investing financially. If you're going to invest in jewelry financially, you want gold. That's where you want to put your money. Gold, we know, increases and has held its value for centuries. That's something we can really rely on most of the time. I know, I think it dipped a couple days ago, but that's not common at all. The real financial consideration isn't which stone will appreciate, but how much you want to invest up front. If I were you, if you have 2 months salary, if that's I don't know, $6,000 or something, I feel like it'd be much better put towards part of a down payment, like towards a down payment or a kick-ass honeymoon. I don't know if I'd put that into a ring when you can get things that are a lot more affordable and just as beautiful. But understand that you have the choice. And some people make a choice based on meaning and values rather than financial comfort. But when we remove the pressure and the financial myths, we give ourselves room to choose from clarity, not expectation. And that's what I hope you do learn from this video, that you choose what works for you and you feel okay choosing a synthetic lab diamond or moissanite if that's what you want. And frankly, it's no one's business. And if anybody asks you if it's a real diamond, it sure is. That synthetic is a real diamond. Here at That Crystal Show, we explore crystals, science, and the metaphysical in a way that's grounded in honesty and curiosity. You don't have to believe everything, you just have to be open to learning something new. So if you're here for the geological, the ritual, or the deeper meaning, go ahead and like and subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss what's next. I'm Bella from Bella Luna Crystals, crystal seller and practitioner, and I'm really glad you're here. Have a beautiful day.